dear friends, welcome back. In the previous lecture, we studied some points related to construction of first recombinant DNA molecule. So up to that we have studied. So there in the NCERT, if you clearly see, they have used one particular sentence. So plasmid we are calling as a vector or vehicle because ultimately the alien DNA or gene of interest should be introduced into the host. So who is carrying this? Who is taking this into the host? Plasmid is taking this into the host. That's why plasmid is called as a vector. So here they have used one simple example where they are telling us, so what is the meaning of vector means? See, what is the example they gave in NCERT? There is a malarial parasite, very good. And this parasite should move from one individual to another human being. Yes or no? So from one human to another human it should move. But how it is moving? Some carrier is required. And who is the carrier? Mosquito. So mosquito is simply carrying the parasites from one individual to another individual. So mosquito is called as a vector. Similarly, here in recombinant DNA technology, plasmid is called as a vector because this is the carrying vehicle. So that's why plasmid is considered as a vector. That's it. So in this way they are giving one example so that you can easily understand them. So anyhow, we studied about the construction of first recombinant DNA molecule, and from that, so they are giving some concluding points. What is that? The three basic steps in genetically modifying an organism. So what are the three basic steps in genetically modifying an organism? So first one, identification of DNA with the desirable genes. That means this is the gene of interest or alien DNA that we want to introduce into the host organism. So that first you need to identify. Then introduction of the identified DNA into the host. So after identifying, after selecting a particular gene, you need to introduce that into the host. So that is the second step. So after introducing into the host, what should happen? Maintenance of introduced DNA in the host, and that should be maintained in the host. Yes or no? And not only that, and transfer of DNA to its progeny. Not only maintaining in that cell itself, it should move on to next generation cells also. Suppose it is an organism, it should move on to the next generation individual. So in this way, it should be maintained in the host and it should go to the progeny also. So in this way, these are the three important steps in constructing a recombinant DNA molecule. But anyhow, before going into the final process, first we need to understand some important requirements. So for these requirements, we are using a word called as tools. So what are the various tools that we are using in recombinant DNA technology? So in the NCERT, they gave us with examples also. So overall, if you say, three important tools are present. So what are these three important tools? First one. So first one is regarding the enzymes. So various types of enzymes we are using in recombinant DNA technology. So that we need to understand first. Then we need some cloning vectors, not just plasmid. Just now we studied, no? Plasmid is a type of vector. Not only plasmid, there are many other types of vectors that we are using in recombinant DNA technology. But anyhow, in the NCERT, they talked with respect to plasmid only, and some other vectors also they talked about. So those vectors we will study first, and whatever the other things that they mentioned in some other chapters, so those things we will study at the end of that. Okay, and then finally we will study about the competent host. So with that, the important three tools in recombinant DNA technology will be completed. So once we understand this, then only we can proceed with the process. Okay, without understanding this, we cannot proceed to the process of recombinant DNA technology. So that's why first we are focusing on these tools. So under these tools, today in this particular lecture, we will study some important examples under the enzymes. That's it. Okay. So anyhow, in the NCERT, they use different enzymes names at different locations. But what we are doing is we are combining them. I already told you. So according to our requirement and according to the simplest method, so we are getting the information given in NCERT at different locations. So we are combining all of that and we are reading all of them at once. Okay. But anyhow, for your convenience, so today what I will do is I will give you the major content related to the enzymes. And in the next lecture, actually, we will go through NCERT line by line. Because please remember, even though I am teaching you very well, and even though you are understanding very well, suppose you are not able to understand and get the meaning of NCERT sentences, there is no use at all. So that is the reason why first I am explaining you all these things, and then I will go through each and every sentence of NCERT. I am telling you many times, I will go through each and every sentence of NCERT. So you should compulsorily follow NCERT sentences and words also. What exactly they are saying, what is its meaning, everything we will understand with clarity. Clear? So now in this lecture we will start with some of the enzymes. We will study some of important enzymes. Anyhow, we are mainly focusing on NCERT only. So what are these? That we will see. So under the enzymes also, again there is a big list of enzymes is there. So anyhow, in the NCERT they have mentioned about some important enzymes. What are those? First one is regarding the lysis enzymes. So what is the function of this lysis? Lysis means what? Breakdown. What do they break? Cell lysis. Very important. It is about the breakdown of cell. So lysis enzymes are used for a breakdown of the cells. So what are that? That list also I will tell you. Next one, cleavage enzymes. So these cleavage enzymes, mainly under this we are studying about DNA digesting or DNA cleavage, DNA breaking enzymes we will study. Okay. So that some important enzymes we will study, and not only this, DNA ligases, attachment of DNA molecules, that also we will study. So this we will study in the next lecture. And then DNA synthesizing enzymes. So what are the different DNA synthesizing enzymes? So first two we will try to complete in this lecture. So remaining we will study in the next lecture. Okay. So in the next lecture, before starting this, I will go through NCERT sentences, and then we will complete the remaining things. Clear? So with this, first we will start with lysis enzymes. And regarding this lysis enzymes, where they have mentioned in the NCERT, that point also I should tell you, no? So then only you can interlink these points. So in the NCERT, there is a subheading called isolation of DNA. So under the isolation of DNA, they have clearly mentioned about all these three names. These sentences are from NCERT only. So you should compulsorily remember this. So now you just imagine. So how you will isolate the plasmid? How you will isolate your gene of interest? They are DNA molecules. So if you want to isolate DNA molecule, first you need to break open the cell. You need to break the cell, then only from the cell you will isolate the DNA. Yes or no? Yes. So how you will break the DNA? Sorry, how you will break the cell first? So to break the cells, so you need to use different enzymes, again depending upon the type of cell. Because for all the types of cells, same type of chemicals are not useful. So because they are having different type of chemical composition, so that's why according to their chemical composition, we need to use different types of enzymes. Yes or no? So now let us see here. So in the case of bacteria, bacterial cell wall is composed of peptidoglycan. Yes or no? Peptidoglycan. Already we studied in class 11th regarding this. So to break the peptidoglycan cell wall, what is the enzyme that is required? It is lysozyme. Very, very important. Lysozyme is an enzyme that is required to break down bacterial cell wall. Please remember, lysozyme is different and lysosome is different. Lysosomes are cell organelles in eukaryotic cells. We are not talking about lysosomes. I will write the spelling of this. Okay. Lysosomes are cell organelles, and we are not talking about this, and we are talking about lysozyme. Lysozyme, which is an enzyme, very important. Okay. So this enzyme is used to break down the bacterial cell wall. Very good. And what are some other important points regarding this? This lysozyme is present in our tears also. Tears contains this lysozyme, and even saliva is also consist of this lysozyme. What is the function? So whatever the bacterial infections that we may get, so to protect us from these infections, so this type of particular components are present in the saliva and even in the tears also. Please remember this, very, very important point. Okay. Anyhow, this point is not needed here, and this is compulsorily needed in human health and diseases chapter. Okay. So there anyhow you will study about all this. So this is about the lysozymes. That is one important type of enzyme. Next one, not only this. So in the case of plant cell, so there also cell wall is present. Yes or no? So that's why, so in that too, plant cell wall is composed of cellulose. Cellulose is a polysaccharide. And to break down the cellulose, you need an enzyme that is called cellulase. In this way, with the help of cellulase enzyme, you will break plant cell. Yes or no? With the help of lysosome, you will break bacterium. And lastly, it is regarding the fungal cells. Suppose you want to isolate the fungal DNA, first you need to break the fungal cell. So in here the fungal cell is also having cell wall which is composed of chitin, that is also polysaccharide. Yes or no? And that chitin is broken down by an enzyme called as chitinase. Very, very important here. So bacterial cell wall breaking enzyme is lysosome, plant cell wall breaking enzyme is cellulase, and the fungal cell wall breaking enzyme is chitinase. Please remember here, very, very important. Bacterial cell wall is composed of peptidoglycan, plant cell wall is composed of cellulose, and whereas the fungal cell wall is composed of chitin. So in this way, all these important points you need to remember, it is compulsory. That's it. So in this way, these are various enzymes. Enzymes, they are the tools of recombinant DNA technology. So these are the various types of enzymes which are acting as lysis enzymes. These are useful for breakdown of the cells. Okay. So now immediately after this, you may get the doubt about the animal cells. Animal cells don't have the cell wall. So that's why it is very easy to break the animal cells. Yes or no? So that's why here you don't need to use any specific enzymes like this. So simply by using some chemicals, you can break the animal cells. That's it. So in this way, these are some cells, and please remember, once again, these names we will study under isolation of DNA, because there is a separate heading, no? So there once again we will study about isolation of DNA. So once again we will use these names. That's it. Okay, next one. Next one is regarding the cleaving enzymes. So regarding the lysis enzymes, it is completed. So now we are studying about the cleaving enzymes. So this under this cleaving enzymes, mainly we are studying about some restriction endonucleases. But before going into that direct point, so here we are using some nucleases. So what are these nucleases? These points I will explain on the board first, and then we will go with the notes. Okay. So here we are using some nucleases. So what are nucleases? Nucleases are enzymes which are breaking the nucleic acids. So these are again two types: exonucleases and endonucleases. Anyhow, regarding these names, I have already explained you under the DNA replication. When we studied about the DNA polymerase of prokaryotes, there I told you 5' to 3' exonuclease activity, 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, and 5' to 3' polymerase activity. So at that time I told you what is exonuclease, what is endonuclease, all the details I already told you. But anyhow, since here it is also needed here, so once again simply I will revise this for you. Okay. So listen very carefully. Suppose this is one nucleotide, second nucleotide, third one, fourth one, fifth one, likewise. So in this way some nucleotides are present. Suppose this is the 5' end and this is the 3' end. Okay. So what are exonucleases? So nucleases are the ones that are breaking down the nucleic acid. Very good. This is also a nucleic acid. But where do they act? This is also very important. So this is the last phosphodiester bond. This is also the last phosphodiester bond. Yes or no? So here there are some enzymes which will break the last phosphodiester bonds. The enzymes which are breaking the last phosphodiester bonds are called as exonucleases. These are called as exonucleases. Understood or not? So other than these last phosphodiester bonds, if they are able to break any other bond, and they are called as endonucleases. Endo means inside, exo means outside. So these enzymes will break the inside phosphodiester bonds. But so these exonucleases will break the outermost phosphodiester bonds. That's it. So this is about exonuclease and endonuclease. And some exonuclease will break only from the 5' end. They are called as 5' exonucleases. And some will act from 3' end, and they are called as 3' exonucleases. But anyhow, here we are not focusing much on exonucleases because we are mainly worried about endonucleases. So endonucleases will break inside phosphodiester bonds. That's it. Understood or not? So in this way, again in this endonucleases, there are a specific or a special class of enzymes are present. They are called as restriction endonucleases, and they are called as restriction endonucleases. Restriction endonucleases. endonucleases. Restriction endonucleases. So what are these? These are also a type of endonucleases. Yes, they will also break the phosphodiester bonds which are present inside. That means other than the terminal phosphodiester bonds. So these will break inside. But will they randomly break anywhere? No. They will not randomly break anywhere, and they are recognizing a specific sequence, and only at that location they are breaking the DNA. So that's why these are called as restriction endonucleases. Understood or not? So here, now we will study about the restriction endonucleases. Actually here there are some types are there, but anyhow in this chapter we are mainly focusing on only one specific type of restriction endonucleases. So anyhow, first we will see about types of restriction endonucleases. Restriction endonucleases. Types of restriction endonucleases. So here we don't need much points because in the NCERT they did not talk about the types. But anyhow, for your understanding, I am talking about the types here. So mainly we are focusing on 3 types of restriction endonucleases. Okay, even 4th type is also there, but not important, leave it. And out of this, what are the restriction endonucleases that were discussed in the NCERT? They are type 2 restriction endonucleases only. So please remember, in the NCERT, whatever they are saying about restriction endonucleases, this is only about type 2 restriction endonucleases. That's it. So that's why in the examination also, if they ask any point, so you need to write with respect to type 2 restriction endonucleases only, because at the level of class 12th, you are not studying about class 1, class 3 and class 4. You are not studying about those. So you are studying only about the class 2. Okay. So what is the significance of this class 2? That we will see here. So in the case of class 2, so here there will be one specific sequence is present that is called as a restriction sequence or recognition sequence. So enzyme will recognize one particular sequence. Enzyme will recognize one particular sequence. Okay. So it may have 4 base pairs, it may have 6 base pairs, or it may have 8 base pairs, whatever it is. So one particular sequence it will recognize, and the important point here is it will cut within this particular sequence only. It will cut within this particular sequence only. Very, very important. Then what about the remaining types? They will also recognize one particular sequence. They will also recognize one particular sequence, but they will recognize this sequence, but they will cut somewhere else. Somewhere else it is about 1000 base pairs away. So even though they are recognizing a sequence, they are not cutting here. Somewhere 1000 base pairs away from that they are cutting. So that's why where exactly they are cutting we don't know. So that's why we are not using this in recombinant DNA technology generally. What about these 3? This is also almost like this only. They are recognizing one particular sequence, but here also they will cut somewhere around 50 base pairs. Somewhere around 50 base pairs away from the recognition site. So since they are cutting away from the recognition site, so these are also not generally used in recombinant DNA technology. So whereas type 2, they are recognizing a particular sequence and they are exactly cutting only at a particular site. So that's why these are having a very, very high significance in recombinant DNA technology. So we are using these only for recombinant DNA technology. Clear? So that's why whatever we are studying, it is for recombinant DNA technology. So here we are mainly using this type 2 restriction endonucleases only. So that's why in the NCERT, whatever they are talking, it is for type 2 only. Clear? So next one here. So here these enzymes also require ATP for their action. But here for these enzymes, for the action of these enzymes, ATP is not required. And here for the action of this, once again ATP is required. And not only this, some other requirements are also there, and these are not needed for us. Okay. So we are not focusing on these differences. These are not needed for us. Simply remember, so in the case of recombinant DNA technology, simply we are detecting or simply we are using only type 2 restriction endonucleases. So now we will study what is the, how they are actually recognizing them, and where they will cut, what is one example given in the NCERT. So all the details we will study for type 2 only now. Okay, so this is what we are going to study now. So now we will go through NCERT sentences here. So cleaving enzymes are two types, exonuclease, endonucleases, and in the endonuclease again we are studying about restriction endonucleases and all. Anyhow, these are the important points that you need to remember first. So restriction endonucleases, what are the other names? Restriction endonucleases are also called as molecular scissors. See, normally scissors we are using to cut something. So here, these restriction endonucleases are used to cut DNA. Since these are used to cut DNA, restriction endonucleases are called as molecular scissors. Okay? Next one, and these are also called as biological scissors. These are also called as biological scissors, molecular or biological scissors. And not only this, these are also called as chemical scalpel. So I think in the practicals you are using a scalpel blade. So the blade is used to again cut only. So that's why this is also used to cut DNA molecule. So that's why restriction endonucleases are also called as chemical scalpels. Please remember about the alternative names. Restriction endonucleases are also called as chemical scissors. Biological scissors are simply they are called as chemical scalpel. Molecular scissors, likewise many names are there. So ultimately you need to understand that it is used to cut what? DNA. That's it. Over. So here in the NCERT they mentioned about these names. So very, very important. What is the sentence they gave in NCERT? Now let us see here. In the year 1963, very important concept. Simply in the NCERT they told about 2 to 3 lines only, but concept is very important for examination. In the year 1963, Werner Arber and Matthew Michelson isolated 2 enzymes responsible for restricting the growth of Bacteriophage lambda. Please observe the word. What is the word? Restricting. And here what is the word we are using? Restriction endonuclease. So now you need to link these two. The term restriction in restriction endonuclease is actually obtained from this one. So here 2 enzymes, they isolated 2 enzymes which are responsible for restricting the growth of Bacteriophage lambda. Where? So the growth of Bacteriophage lambda, this is a virus in Escherichia coli, E. coli, that is strain K. E. coli, strain K. So this is what the meaning. So first let us try to understand what exactly they said here and what are the 2 enzymes, what is their function and what is the meaning of this restriction and why these endonucleases are called restriction endonucleases. Now this concept we are trying to understand. There are many MCQs on this concept. So please try to understand what I am saying here. First I will tell you in simple terms, then I will show you the diagram, so then you can easily understand the concept. Okay? And here this concept is called as restriction modification system. Restriction modification system. So what is this restriction modification system? So that we need to understand first. See, first what I will tell you is, first I will tell you one general procedure what is happening. Anyhow, this procedure already we studied under Measles and Hershey and Chase experiment, yes. So under the Hershey and Chase experiment, I have clearly explained about all these things. So now simply we will recollect all these points. Suppose there is a bacterium. Suppose there is a bacterium and the bacterium is having its own nucleoid. This is the nucleoid of bacterium. Now attached to this, the virus will give the infection. So virus is having its genome. Yes or no? So once the virus is attached to the host bacterium, now this genome is released into the host cytoplasm. Yes or no? Once it is released, now you need to remove from this. Okay? So now what happens? So once the genome is released into this, now this genome, it will become, suppose it is becoming double-stranded. So once it is becoming double-stranded, now it will become the part of host genome. So in this way, see here, in this way, the viral genome is becoming part of host genome. Now once it is becoming the part of host genome, then what happens here? So now it will start producing many viral particles within the host bacterium. So it will produce many viral particles. This is what we have already discussed. Yes or no? Already studied also. So this is what generally happening. But here the important concept is sometimes some bacteria they will kill this. How they are killing this? So actually what they are doing, they are not killing this. What actually they are doing is, so whatever the genetic material that is released by the virus into the cytoplasm of bacteria, now this bacterium is immediately breaking this into fragments. What is happening? Whatever the viral genome that is released into the host, that viral genome is immediately broken into fragments. It is immediately broken into fragments here. So because of this, what happens here? The viral genome is broken into fragments, and now these fragments are not useful. So in this way, ultimately what is happening? The bacterium is getting protected from the action of viral genome. So please remember here. So here there is no viral synthesis. So in this way, some bacteria are protected themselves from the virus infections. Yes or no? If virus infection is coming, now it will ultimately break the bacterium, so the bacterium will die. So here bacterium is trying to survive. So it is fighting against the virus. So in this way, ultimately what it is doing? So it is ultimately breaking the viral genome. So now there is no viral infection. Understood or not? So once again I will repeat here. So what generally happens is, virus will infect the bacterium. Then viral genome is released into the host cytoplasm. Clear? Then the genome of virus is becoming part of the bacterial genome, and then it will start synthesizing many viral particles. This is what generally happening. Then what happens? Bacterium will be broken down and viral particles are released, and each viral particle again now it will attach to some other new bacterium. So this is what generally happening. But here there are some bacteria. I am not saying all bacteria. There are some bacteria, and these bacteria, they can protect themselves from the virus particle. How? So once there is a virus infection, viral genome is released into the host cytoplasm, means bacterial cytoplasm. But here what happens? Bacterium is releasing some enzymes. With the help of enzymes, it is breaking the viral DNA. In this way, ultimately it is getting protected from the action of this virus. That's it. This is what happening. But here, for the same thing, what we said, what they have given in the NCERT. So those scientists isolated two enzymes. What are the two enzymes? What they will do? And please remember, two enzymes are very, very important. So what are these two enzymes? One is restriction endonuclease. One enzyme is restriction endonuclease, or simply restriction enzyme. Simply it is restriction endonuclease or restriction enzyme. Then what is that another enzyme? Another enzyme is for modification. That is modifying enzyme. That is modifying enzyme. Please remember here. That is the reason why this mechanism is called restriction modification system. So what exactly happens here? That I will tell you now. So please understand very, very clearly here. Okay? So what exactly happening inside the bacterium? Suppose this is the host bacterium. Host bacterium will have its own genome. It is having its own genome. Yes or no? So here there is a viral infection. Suppose there is a viral infection. So in this way viral infection is there. So now what happens? Now this viral DNA is released into the host. Yes or no? So now what happens is, inside this bacterium there are two enzymes. Inside this bacterium there are two enzymes. What is the first enzyme I told you? That first enzyme is modifying enzyme. So what is that modifying enzyme? That modifying enzyme is methylating enzyme. Generally it is methylating enzyme. So what is this methylating means? Methyl group is added. Methyl group CH3, methyl group is added. Methyl group is added. Added to what? Where it is added? That is important. So here that I will tell you. So before telling that, first we will see about the second enzyme. Second enzyme is restriction endonuclease. Restriction endonuclease or restriction enzyme. Simply I am writing EN. EN means endonuclease. R EN means restriction endonuclease. Sometimes I will use some abbreviations instead of writing full name. So REN means restriction endonuclease. That's it. So in this way, restriction endonucleases are used. Or there is another standard abbreviation, simply RE. That is also possible. So restriction endonuclease or restriction enzyme. So there is also another standard abbreviation. Both of them are standards only. Now, what is this restriction endonuclease and how it will act? I already told you. Restriction endonuclease will recognize some particular sites. Restriction endonuclease will recognize some particular sequence of DNA. Yes or no? And after recognizing this DNA sequence, now it will cut within that sequence. Yes or no? So in this way, if you clearly see, within the host genome also some sites are present, and within the viral genome also some sites are present. Very, very important. Don't get confused here. Whenever we are studying, so most of the teachers will say that yes, the host genome, so not host genome, so this is the viral genome is having some restriction endonuclease sites. So this restriction enzyme will break viral DNA at the restriction sites. Only up to that they are teaching. But immediately the student has to get one more doubt. What is the doubt? See this, okay, since it is the DNA, so viral DNA suppose. So since it is viral DNA, yes, it is having some recognition site. So it is obviously breaking the DNA into fragments. Okay, very good. Up to that it is acceptable. But the doubt immediately that should come to you is, even the host DNA can also have some sequences which are exactly same like this. Yes or no? Yes, there is a possibility. Then how restriction enzyme cannot break this? It can break this also, no? Yes. If there is a sequence that is exactly same here, whatever is the required sequence for restriction endonuclease, if that sequence is present here, then restriction endonuclease can break this also. That means what? Restriction endonuclease can break the genome of its own host. Suppose if that enzyme is breaking this segment, this into fragments, then what is the use? If host genome itself is broken down, then the bacterium will die. So that's why very, very important. Even though host is also having some recognition sites, first thing that host should do is it should protect its own genome. How it will protect? It will protect by modification of restriction enzyme sites. So some regions of this site are methylated. Methyl group is added to this. Methyl group is added to this. By adding the methyl group, now it is protecting itself. Please remember here, what is happening here? So in this way, methyl group is added to some nucleotides of recognition site. Now what happens? Once methyl groups are added here, even though the sequence is same, since methyl group is added, now restriction endonuclease cannot recognize this sequence. Understood or not? Since it cannot recognize this particular sequence, in this way, so since it is modified, host genome or nucleoid is not broken down. In this way, the bacterium is protecting its own DNA from degradation by restriction endonucleases. Understood or not? So that is the reason why we are using the term restriction modification. So these two enzymes are acting together. So one enzyme is modifying which region? The recognition site of host only. It will not modify viral DNA. Please remember, it will not modify viral DNA. It will modify only the host genome. That's it. So in this way, it is modifying the host genome. Now, restriction endonuclease, it will search for the recognition sequence. Whether it is of virus or for the host, it will not worry. So it is recognizing. So when it is recognizing the viral DNA, so here it is having many restriction enzyme sites and they are not methylated. So it can easily break it. But here, even the host genome is also having some recognition sites for same restriction endonuclease, but since they are methylated by methylating enzyme or modifying enzyme, now restriction endonuclease cannot recognize this sequence, so it will not break the host DNA. So in this way, the host bacterium is one side it is protecting its own genome, and on the other side it is breaking the viral DNA into fragments. So in this way, the restriction endonuclease were recognized. And restriction, the term restriction is used for what? Restriction is used for growth of virus. Restricted means what? Stopped. So what is restricted here? The growth of virus is stopped. Growth of virus is restricted. Since viral growth is restricted by this particular enzyme, and these enzymes are called as restriction endonucleases. So please remember, very, very important, because there are some MCQs based on this. Restriction endonucleases are called restricted because they will cut only at specific sites. Is it true statement? No, that is not true. Since they are cutting only at a specific sequence, they are not called as restriction endonucleases. And why they are called as restriction endonucleases? Now you need to understand what is restricted. These enzymes will restrict or stop the viral growth within the bacterium. So that's why these enzymes are called as restriction endonucleases. And these questions can be asked in assertion region. So please be very much careful regarding this type of concept. Okay? Concept is very, very important. So in this way, this is some important point for restriction endonucleases. Okay? Clear? Now we will go through the diagram here. So what is this restriction modification system diagram here? So generally here, the viral DNA will come into the bacterium and then it will become the part of nucleoid. But here what happens, some bacteria, please remember not all bacteria, some bacteria are having some enzymes, so that these enzymes, they will recognize the viral DNA. So as soon as the viral DNA is entering into the bacteria, it is broken down into fragments or pieces. So because of this, now viral growth or viral propagation will not occur, so it is restricted. Understood or not? So that meaning of restriction you need to understand. So even though in the NCERT they gave in just 2 to 3 lines, the concept is very, very important. So please remember this. Okay. So next, immediately after this, we will study about some other points that are related to this palindromic sites. And with that, we will complete this particular lecture. Okay. So what is the palindromic sequences? Because first I will explain about this concept. In the next lecture, anyhow, I will read the NCERT sentences. Then I will tell you what exactly they are telling you in the NCERT. Because even though concept is very simple and easy to understand, when you are reading NCERT, they have given sentences in a little bit difficult manner. So some students are misunderstanding the sentences. So in the next lecture, I will go through NCERT lines also. So then you can easily understand this. First, let us understand the palindromic sequence means. What is the palindromic sequence means? See, these are some examples. In the NCERT, the example given is this one, Malayalam. Okay. So this is the language that is used in the Kerala state of India. Okay. So what is this Malayalam spelling if you see? M-A-L-A-Y-A-L-A-M. So this is from starting to the ending. So now if you are reading from ending to the starting, here also spelling is M-A-L-A-Y-A-L-A-M. So from first to last and from last to first, the sequence is exactly same without any change. Similarly here, M-A-D-A-M, front to last. From last to first, M-A-D-A-M. Here, N-O-O-N, N-O-O-N. And here, R-O-T-O-R, from back to the front, R-O-T-O-R. R-A-D-A-R, R-A-D-A-R. So in this way, there are some sentences in which we are using these words. So the words where we are reading the letters from first to last, or when you are reading from last to the first, the spelling is exactly same. So in this way, this type of words are called as palindromic words. These are called as palindromic words. M-A-D-A-M, M-A-D-A-M. Okay. So in the NCERT they gave M-A-L-A-Y-A-L-A-M, Malayalam. So from first to the last and from last to the first, the sequence is exactly same. And this type of words are called palindromic words. But here we are talking about DNA sequence. What is that a DNA sequence? Suppose this is a DNA, double-stranded DNA. So in this double-stranded DNA, if you are observing some particular sequence, suppose this is G, A, T, T, C. Why I am using this sequence only? Because in the NCERT, they have given this particular example, so we are focusing only on NCERT example. You don't need to study anything extra than this. Simply NCERT examples are enough. Okay? So anyhow, wherever it is required, I will tell you the concept. For understanding the concept, I will tell you some other points, but sequence, only this much is enough. Okay? So in this way, they have given the example here. So here 5' to 3' sequence also you need to remember. So what is this 5' to 3' sequence? This is 5', and here this side it is 3'. And here it is 5', and this side it is 3'. Please remember here, very, very important. There is a previous examination where they have asked this. So actually this is a palindromic sequence that was recognized, that is recognized by EcoR1 restriction endonuclease. Okay? What is the name of that restriction endonuclease? It is EcoR1. What is the full name and what is this ECOR1? Everything I will tell you in the next lecture, because there we will study the remaining points. So here we will see about the palindrome, how they are palindrome. GAA-TTC. So in this way you are reading this. When you are reading the same CTTAAG, is it exactly same? No, it is different. So here, that is the reason why in the NCERT clearly they told you, you should not read for to get the palindromic sequence, you should not read the same strand. From 5' to 3', you just read in one strand. On the complementary strand, for the complementary of these bases, you just read from 5' to 3'. Please remember, for the DNA palindrome sequence concept is slightly deviated. Suppose you are observing simple English words, palindromic, same word, from left to right you are reading and from right to left you are reading, spelling is exactly same. But for DNA, for the same strand you are not reading. You are taking both the strands. In one strand, you just read from 5' to 3'. On the other strand also you just read from 5' to 3' for the same segment, Then you will get GAA-TTC, GAA-TTC, yes. Then you will get palindromic sequence. Or else, suppose you are reading from, I will use another color, suppose you are reading from 3' to 5'. Suppose you just read CTTAAG. Then on the opposite strand also you just read from 3' to 5'. Here also you will get CTTAAG. That means on both the strands, if you are reading 5' to 3', you will get one sequence, and that is palindrome. Suppose you are reading from 3' to 5', in that case, here also you just read from 3' to 5', then also you will get the same sequence. So in this way they are palindromes. So that's why there is a small difference between palindromic word and palindromic DNA sequence. In the palindromic DNA sequence, you need to consider both the strands. Okay? Please remember, on the same strand, left to right, right to left, you should not read, you will not get the palindrome. Understood or not? So you need to take both the strands. In both the strands, you need to follow same direction. Which direction you want to read, that is your wish, no problem. But anyhow, as per international standard convention, we need to read from 5' to 3'. So this is how you are reading. Yes or no? Then, what is the previous MCQ question? So which of the following is the recognition site for EcoR1? What they gave? 5', GAA-TTC 3', likewise they have given. That is correct answer. And for confusion, what they did? GAA-TTC they gave. But here they gave 3', there they gave 5', so that is completely a different one, and that will not be recognized by this. So in this way, you just don't simply remember this. Along with this, you need to remember these directions also. Then only the actual concept you will understand. Okay? So with this, we will stop it. So in the next lecture, we will study about where exactly it will cut and what are sticky ends, what are blunt ends, and what are different sentences from NCERT. That also we will study at the end of the lecture. Okay? Thank you so much, my dear friends. We will meet in the next lecture. Thank you so much.